Gulf region is an amazing natural and cultural treasure. From the mangrove swamps of Florida to Louisiana's wetlands, the Gulf has some of the most productive and important waters in the country. The Gulf is also home to a wide array of wildlife, from fish like red snapper and grouper, to threatened and endangered species like manatees and the whooping cranes. Sadly, our lakes, rivers, streams, wetlands, and the Gulf itself are threatened by water pollution, wetlands destruction, and the impacts of oil and gas development. Since 1994, Gulf Restoration Network has been working to combat these threats to the health of the Gulf by uniting and empowering people to protect and restore the natural resources of the region. Through watchdogging, Gulf Restoration Network works to prevent polluters from dumping waste into rivers and streams that empty into the Gulf. We're putting pressure on state and federal leaders to reduce the nitrogen and phosphorus pollution that contributes to toxic algal and bacterial outbreaks and the massive dead zone that forms in the Gulf every summer. Gulf Restoration Network is also committed to protecting the animals that live in the Gulf. Dolphins and whales are threatened by loud underwater sound blasts caused by seismic testing for the oil and gas industry. These sound blasts hinder dolphins and whales' ability to feed, reproduce, and even locate their pods. Gulf Restoration Network continues to push for federal action to limit seismic testing and permanently protect Gulf whales and dolphins. Without its wetlands, the Gulf ecosystem would cease to function. Since the early 20th century, the Gulf has lost more than 50% of its wetlands, which are our first line of defense against hurricanes and tropical storms. Wetlands also filter pollutants, act as nurseries for Gulf fish and shrimp, and provide habitat for thousands of species. Gulf Restoration Network holds developers and state and federal officials accountable for wetlands destruction while advocating for the restoration of wetlands that have already been destroyed. The BP drilling disaster is the latest threat to our Gulf and the biggest man-made environmental disaster in the nation's history. BP spewed over 200 million gallons of oil into the Gulf, which continues to wash ashore and impact the environment and coastal communities today. Gulf Restoration Network was one of the first groups to respond to the disaster, and we continue to monitor the ongoing impacts of BP's oil by boat and by air and report the pollution that we see on each trip. Through the efforts of many organizations, including Gulf Restoration Network, Congress passed the Restore Act in 2011. This important piece of legislation ensures that BP fines are directed to recovery in the Gulf. GRN is working to make sure BP pays the largest fines possible. As those funds start flowing to the region, Gulf Restoration Network will be a watchdog, working to ensure these dollars are spent on effective restoration of the Gulf's environment, wetlands, and other coastal lines of defense. Gulf Restoration Network is proud of its hard-won victories. Using public education, citizen empowerment, government watchdogging, and legal action when necessary, we look forward to many more victories. You can join GRN to help fight water pollution and ensure effective restoration of the Gulf by visiting healthygulf.org to learn more, take action, and donate to our efforts.